Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. Jimmy Montague new singles, new album.
We're catching up today with Jimmy Montague, who has a new single coming out, and possibly a third single coming out. How we doing, Jimmy?
Not too bad. I'm enjoying a wonderful lunch of peanut butter on a spoon. I just got out of work, and that's pretty much it for today.
I hear you. So let's talk about the one that you already released. What's the name of the single?
So the one I just put out is called All the Same. It features a friend from online named Chris Farron, who is a rock star of his own right, and we each take a verse, and it's the first one on an album that I'm putting out at the beginning of the next year.
Nice. Now, this is was this did this exist the last time we spoke to you? Um
In
about
in like recorded form, almost. Like I was working on it while I was talking to y'all.
right, because you had gotten into us about how you were layering things. I think you said you were approaching it a little differently than you had done casual use.
hmm Yeah, I was trying to incorporate more people. Chris was one that I reached out to just as like I didn't even think he would be down to do it, but Chris kind of opened up the door of being like, I can just kind of ask people, and they kind of seem to want to do these things. So hopefully, I can continue to reach out to other musicians that I really like and see if they want to feature. But yeah, I had the song written while I was doing all the casual use press junket stuff, but it was originally just me singing both verses, and it felt all right. But I felt like it could be cool to do sort of like a Bowie and Jagger dancing in the street, or a Michael and McCartney, "The Girl Is Mine" type deal. I always think those things are fun. So
Yeah, definitely. And until Michael buys your whole catalog
yeah,
from under you.
right. Chris might be planning to do that at any moment, so who knows? It'd be a smart business venture for him.
I was curious about All the Same. You had so many different people on that. Are those people that you've recorded with before, or are they people that kind of were new to working with you?
Let's see. For that song, so I pulled in a new drummer for this record. Originally, on the last few records, I've drummed myself, but I wanted to bring someone who is a little bit more prioritized on that instrument, and B, I love because I also engineer the records. So when I don't have to be like, oh, press record, and then I'll run into the other room and then go play. And if I mess up, then I have to run back into. Like it saves me a lot of time. I can actually focus on what's going on. So I brought in a drummer. His name's Adam Solcheski. He's a friend of mine that I went to high school with. Amazing drummer, amazing feel, amazing ear. He's got a great ear as a musician all around, but as a drummer, I've been recording him pretty much my whole recording career for various projects and bands of his and projects of ours, and I'm really spoiled to work with him. He's an amazing drummer. I played the rest of the backing for this song, and Chris obviously plays guitar and sings, and then I had a friend of mine, Jess, from a Massachusetts-based band, Old Soul, and she came in, and across the whole record, she sings on a lot of these songs, and she just did all three-part harmonies, sort of like backup dancer type vibes. Um, yeah, she knocked the whole record out in one day. It was amazing. She's a great
She
singer.
was like a one person Danettes.
Yeah. uh, I'm trying to think. For that song, I'm pretty sure it's just me, Chris, Adam, and Jess. I think so. Well, the horn players play on those stabs, and it's the same horn players on casual use, except for trumpet this time. A friend from back home named Keenan Asbridge played, and a Boston hire, Eric Stillwell, who I had a trombone player drop, and I just sort of put feelers out online. And Eric came by recommendation of some Boston friends. He showed up, knocked the whole thing out in a day, and it's great working with him.
Yeah.
Definitely work with him again.
And were you at the God City Studios to record that? I know Zach Weeks did some mixing, I think, for you. That's a really interesting place. I've read a bit about their work.
I was not there for engineering. All the engineering I did in my own studios. Both I was working out of one in Lawrence, Massachusetts at the time of the drums, and by the time I finished the record, I'm at one currently in Manchester, New Hampshire, that we finished everything else out. Zach is an old friend. We've been working kind of on and off at God City with Zach for a number of years now, where usually we'll kind of go there, record drums, bring it back to my place, do a lot of other stuff, bring it back to Zach, mix it with him. So when I finished this new record, I drove down to Salem and mixed the whole thing with Zach over the course of like 2 or 3 days. But we did the Taking Meds record there, and I was there for the whole, week and change. But no, Zach is an old friend and a great engineer, and I love working with him. So I try to bring as much of my work there as I can, because it's a super comfortable environment, and he's a funny guy.
Yeah, and I guess I should probably say, just in case anyone listening hasn't heard of God City, they're based in Salem, like you mentioned. I feel like they've been around for a while now. I mean, well over 10 years, probably longer than that. But they work primarily with, punk, indie, metal, right? Kind of on that end of the...
Yeah, the studio is run and owned by Kurt Ballou, who is the guitarist from Converge. And it's been there as long as he's been making records. I know he had it in one other building before, and now he's in the place where it currently is. And Zach is an assistant engineer there that, I just happen to know over the years. The work that goes in there is mostly harder music and has a reputation amongst the hardcore bands and the metal bands for being, a spot to go and work with Kurt. And we got to work with Kurt on the Meds record, which was a blast. And, Kurt is a great engineer and a good hang. He's got a lot of amazing stories. So it's fun shooting the shit. And Zach pops in, works, and it's good to see a good friend. And we like being there. It's super comfortable. Salem is nice. There's a place down the street called New England Soup Factory that has the best soup I've ever had. I bought their cookbook. Well, Zach actually bought me the cookbook, but I use it religiously.
Nice. So you mentioned Talking Meds. Before we get into the other singles, we'll get back into the album in a second. The last time we talked to you, we got into a little bit about how you weren't really into touring, and I see that you and Talking Meds hit the road pretty hard this year, huh?
Yeah. I don't love to tour. I don't love to tour. But it is an extremely helpful tool in networking, staying busy, staying active, staying connected. And it has done, I'm trying to think of a good way to put it without sounding too ladder climby, but like, I don't know, I've met a lot of people through it, and like, not only am I touring with other bands, but while I'm there, I can connect on my music and talk to people about my music and kind of put that out there. And most of the connections that I've made for my music have been with touring with other bands. So, it's still something that I do enjoy certain aspects of it, and probably will continue to just keep doing it, even though I have my gripes,
Right. Well, we can't do the Steely Dan thing anymore, huh? No record company's going to give you 3 years and $5 million.
Well, yeah. The recording budgets of the past are long gone, I think. Yeah.
$5 million, and then you erase the whole second arrangement by mistake.
Yeah, right.
All right, so you have another single coming out, I guess, in a week or so on January 3rd, right?
Yeah. I'm putting out a new single called Only One for Me, which has, let's see, features a couple different people than the first single. This one has a guitar solo by Connor Wage, another friend from high school that I've grown up playing music with, honestly, most of my life now that we're on the other side of our teens. But Connor on guitar, another friend from high school, Andrew Dominello, who plays Hammond B3. Again, with Adam on drums and Jess on backing vocals, and then my horn section. Yeah, I mean, for this one, I was sort of going for that song "Change of the Guards" off the first Steely Dan record. That I probably did steal that tempo. I was very into the pulse of that song. It's just a ripper. It's such a good tune. But yeah, I mean, in more recent years, I've gotten more into stealing tempos rather than stealing chord progressions from bands. But still, like, you feel a tempo, you feel like a certain feel of a song, and it's honestly more infectious than the chord progression. Just
Right.
that,
Well, you know what T.S. Eliot said: "Good poets imitate, great poets steal."
yeah. I'm lifting shit left and right.
Putting that one in my back pocket.
That's the adage of a good teacher too. If you ask most of them.
Right.
Yeah, just
So so it comes out on the 3rd. The other one's out. Where are we finding them?
they'll be on all streaming platforms. I've got the distro kids synced up so that it goes to Apple Music, Spotify, TikTok, all places that can be. Tidal now too, which is nice. Um, and another perk of working with Zach is he's an Apple verified mastering engineer. So like that high quality spatial sort of stuff, he's Apple approved. So it's got that the stamp of approval there.
Nice, nice. So you got the one on the 3rd coming up, and then I guess a month later we're gonna drop another one.
Yep. 2-3. We're gonna do the last single. It's called No Exit, and then I will be rolling out the record in full. Uh, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Well, now the rest of the album. How many tracks are going to be on the complete album when it comes out?
The full album is 10 tracks.
Okay, and that's when do we get to see that?
February 28th is the release day for the new record,
Very
which is
nice.
called
Very
Tomorrow's Coffee.
All right. Do you get to? Are you going to be able to do a release show or a stream or anything?
I've been very, very slowly and loosely putting together a tour for March for myself. It's looking like it's probably going to be solo. So it'll probably just be me with an acoustic guitar going and shopping some of these tunes. Uh, I'm loosely trying to put together maybe a small 4-piece band to go out. But it's coming up with the funds. It's just I got to pay these people.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
and unless I can get guarantees at these shows that I know I can pay them, I don't want to offer them money out of my pocket just yet, you know.
I hear you with that. I hear you with that. I was thinking also more maybe even a one-off thing. Like you did do a stream before with some of the casual use stuff, right?
Yeah, I did a live session. The plan is I would love to do another one. I'm going to try and do one maybe sometime in early January or late February if I can.
Nice.
And I'd probably just keep it to one song and really try to nail it. Although I've been toying with the idea of doing a Joe Walsh cover. And I don't even love doing covers, but I would love to do a Joe Walsh cover.
Which one?
I kind of want to do Things.
Interesting.
It's in my head. It's Things or At the Station. Both of those songs are like such great songs, and I think it could be arranged in a way that would work for me and just be really fun. I don't know if I can do the Joe Walsh voice, but we'll see. Maybe.
Life's been good.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I got into the people who came up with the term yacht rock, the DJs
Mhm.
or whoever they were. They're
Sure.
on Blue Sky, and I got into with them about Steely Dan not being yacht rock. What
Okay.
would you define yacht rock as?
That's a good question. Uh, I feel like if I were to go with what the actual definition of yacht rock is, like it's probably going to be bands I don't even really love. You know what I mean? Like I don't find myself listening to like Loggins and Messina that much, or like Seals and Croft that much. But like I think everyone's jump to call Steely Dan yacht rock, or sometimes people are calling Hall and Oates yacht rock, and like it's not. But I think what they're talking about is just that feeling, like really really high production groove oriented rock that's not that aggressive. It's not that jarring, not that aggressive. It's like smooth on the mellow side. It's usually of the same 120 BPM, recliner rock. But I don't think that if people were to put a firm definition on yacht rock and be like, it's only Loggins and Messina and Seals and Croft and these types of bands, like I don't think the people who say they listen to yacht rock would really be like, oh, maybe I don't love yacht rock. I think it's fair game to call Steely Dan yacht rock. Who cares? I mean, Time Out of Mind is like such a groove. I feel like that.
Yeah. I once had heard another kind of layer to that when people are trying to describe it, which is some measure of commercial success. And I had never really thought about that angle. It isn't
That's funny.
just the music itself. I'm like, okay, all right, I can kind of see that. But yeah, it's such a broad term, in general.
Yeah, if they're buying yachts with the rock, then it's yacht rock.
Makes
All right,
sense,
there you
right?
go.
Yeah.
I was trying to throw John Stewart's Gold.
Okay.
That song in his yacht rock, and this guy was like, "No, it isn't." I was like, "It's yacht rock. It sounds just like." I mean, he's in Southern California. It's
Yep, yep. Checking some boxes
Yeah.
there.
right.
It's
Exactly.
it's so like I feel like if you're a normal person, the definition is so loose you can throw anything into it. And
It's only us nerds that
Think about it.
get. Oh man, that's fantastic. All right, so well, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Hopefully we get to talk to you again maybe in another year. Maybe we make this a yearly thing and we can
Mhm.
see where you're going there.
yeah.
And everybody, make sure that you check out the single.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.